wá ti rí mi tí mo ti lọ mo ti wà bọ́ọ̀dù rẹ̀.
Hallelujah. 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 Good evening, everybody. I want to use this medium to welcome every one of us to tonight's Career Day that's being hosted by CCC Peace of Christ Parish. Thank you all for coming out of your busy schedule to come and, honor this visit. I know some of you be giving us insights about your career and advice, and some of us are here to listen. I pray God Almighty will bless us all collectively in Jesus' name. Before we start, I want to do a introduction about myself. First of all, this was a setup, but I fell for it, but I'll take it. My name is Ayo, and I know some of you know me. For our guests and visitors that don't know me, I'm a registered nurse by profession. I've been a nurse for 7 years now. Um, I started 2016. I've worked in different areas of nursing. First, I started as a nurse's assistant and became a nurse, and then started working in the hospital. I've worked at the jail. I've worked in a nursing home. I've worked in the emergency room. I've worked in the ICU. I've worked in the step-down unit. Um, I think the only branch of nursing I've not been into is the baby mother. That's the only one. um, but it's a rewarding career. At first, I was very hesitant to go into that, profession, and but it's very rewarding. It's a blessing. Um, just like I said, I've been into different branches of nursing. Um, like I said, I've been into different branches of nursing. So there are different branches of nursing. You can become a corrections nurse. You can become an ICU nurse. You can become a pediatrician. Um, you can become a psych slash mental health nurse. You can also become what's it called? The nurses that work from home, they do like auditing, and they have nurses that do like quality improvement and how do you call it? Quality control and improvement. Yeah, CQI. So you can also branch into that aspect of nursing. It's also rewarding because you learn and you focus more on data, on statistics, on crisis, on um, utilizations of materials that are needed in a hospital or needed in whatever facility that you are auditing or that you work for. So it is very rewarding. One of the things that I would say about nursing is you get to meet or you always interact with people. I didn't know that I had the gift or the skills of interacting with people until I became a nurse. And you meet different people of all kinds. I've met people from Bosnia, people from Albania, people from Mauritius, people from um, Guatemala, Colombia, Cambodia, Nepal, places that most people have never heard of. I've met people from those countries, from the Philippines, and and not to be stereotypical, but certain regions of the country where you go, you might find predominantly a group of people. For example, when I was in California, most of the people that I worked with were either Asians, mostly from the Philippines, and when I work in New York, most of the people that I work with downstate New York were from either the Caribbeans, but upstate New York they were mostly white people. And when I worked in Florida, most of the people that I worked with were Cubans because Cuba is only 90 miles away from Miami, you know. And when I worked in Orlando, most of the people that I worked with were mostly Hispanic, you know. So it's a broad um part of medicine that's very rewarding. Why I say it's rewarding is because you get the knowledge of being a nurse and being a doctor combined together, and then you're learning that knowledge within 2 to 4 years of your life, and you're expected to know a lot because the sometimes the doctor is depending on you, especially if you're in the emergency room and you email the doctor and say this is or you we on my documentation system called Epic. I just text the doctor, this. Can I get this medication? So you telling the doctor, can I get this medication? The doctor already knows that you know what's wrong with this person and you know what medication or you know what treatment or intervention is needed for that situation that the person is going through. So these are some of the things that these are some of the knowledge that I've acquired over the years, and the people that I've worked with people from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, and most of these people were nurses in their country, and they were able to enlighten me on how to do things that we do differently in America. And sometimes some of the things that I learned from them actually works better. Like putting starting the IV line. I learned the technique of double strapping. Double strapping is like putting the tegaderm twice on your hands, doubling up, and you can find the veins better. Those are some of the things that I've learned from people who were not from the United States, and it's worked for me. So it's a wonderful part of my life that I do not regret. And if anybody is willing to join that profession, please, um, I'm available. You can reach out to me. I can give you knowledge, advice. Um, I can give you recommendations on what kind of school to join or go to or attend to get your degrees and what kind of degrees you should get. Because sometimes finances can play a big part in getting admissions into nursing schools. So it is good to always sit down, talk to somebody who's been in that profession, do your research before you go into a school, because student loans are expensive. They're a hassle. They cost a lot of payback. Sometimes the interest is also a deal breaker for some people, and then the price of the school is also a deal breaker. So please, if anybody has any questions or they need knowledge about becoming a nurse, please you can reach out to me, ask me, and I'm willing to share that idea. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Sister Debbie. Yeah. So um that's a good question. So before I became a nurse and while I was working as a nurse's aide, I spoke to people who were nurses at my job, and they gave me insights, and they shared information about what branch of nursing I would want to go to, and they told me what schools, and they gave me advice about studying. Some of those things were given to me by people who were already nurses. And the other question you asked was who, people that gave me advice and insight, and what else?
I was gonna ask, is the salary rewarding?
Okay, so so yes,
And the
that's
flexibility in schedule.
yes, that's a good question. So the salary is, based on what part of nursing you go into, the salary is dependent on the branch that you fall into. So For those people who new grads, some places new grads make about $45 an hour to some people make between 20, I don't know, I can't say, but I come from a state where the wage was more. But yeah, in Maryland, I know some people start off at maybe 29, 30 to about 45. That's starting. And that's for a registered nurse. And then if you're into a specialty, let's say you work in the ICU and you have your certified, if you're a certified critical care nurse, then you get paid high, you get paid more. And also for shift differential, let's say you work in the evenings or you work night, there might be $3, $4, $5, $6 more than your regular wage. And the flexibility can be wonderful depending on where you work at. Some places demand that you work 3 12 hours, which is 36 hours a week. So you work 3 days a week, which is you can choose any day between the week, but they may recommend that they may require you to work one weekend no, 2 weekends in a month. So every other weekend you may have to work. But if you're a good negotiator like me, when I get my job, I tell them I don't want to work weekends. Or sometimes I tell them I only want to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, work my 12 hours, and I get Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So those are some of the things that a lot of people don't know. And if you know some of these things, you can work around your schedule and get a wonderful flexibility. Yes, go ahead.
You recommend like for high school students? Like, is there any like EMT programs or like fire department, like stuff like that that will just put me on fast track?
Okay, that's a good question. So for those who come out of high school, your school might have a program like a bridge program from high school into college that they have that your high school and the college can they work together and they do a bridge program whereby some of your credits from high school can even transfer to college and you go straight into your nursing program. Meanwhile, some schools require that you do take liberal art classes and some science classes before you get into the nursing program. Because that was what I did. I had to take some classes before I got into the nursing program because I didn't go to high school in America. Um, Another thing is also let's say even for those who are not in high school, those who have gotten their degrees from let's say psychology and they have like their 4 year degree, their bachelor's degree in psychology or sociology or maybe biology or something in sciences and they want to transfer, the school might have a bridge program where you just do an accelerated program for only 18 months, 24 months, or less than 2 years, and then you get your degree in nursing, and then you still have to take a board exam, a certified board exam to practice as a registered nurse. And for you said something about the EMT and the paramedics program. So for those, that's a good thing. I've always thought about that. If let's see, when my kids are done with high school and they're very questionable about what they want to do in college, I would recommend that they do something like the EMT program or the firefighter program to see if they will like that aspect of life where they will have to deal with people who are bleeding or they will have to take care of people who are sick. Because some people may not be able to withstand blood. Some people may not be able to, you know, listen to people scream or yell at their ears or curse them out at work, because those are some of the things that we have to deal with as nurses. It's not an easy profession. I will tell you. You should clap for me, clap for me, clap for me. So, so that's a good avenue where people can actually go into the field and observe people, and watch preceptors actually treat or take care of people, and they can say, oh, you know what, I like this or I don't like this. You know what, no, I don't want to do this. And becoming an AMT would also give you a lot of knowledge that you would need to become a nurse or even a doctor, because those EMT or the paramedics are usually like the first set of people that meet people. Let's say they get into a car accident or they're sick at home. They usually administer care that some of the nurses in the emergency room will administer to people. So that is also a good avenue that people can branch into. Anybody have any other questions? Uncle Israel, do you have any question? Anybody else? No? Okay, and before I go, I just want to say one more thing. Um, you know, anybody that has, that's maybe like some of us who are CNAs or LPNs and want to further our education and not just to become a nurse, or you want to get your master's in nurse, you can also be a provider like the lady that was here last night. Her name is Miss Virginie. She's also a registered nurse, and at the same time, she's a nurse practitioner. So she's a provider like the regular doctors out there, and she's also a registered nurse. So that's one of the good things about becoming a nurse. You can further your education and become a anesthesiologist. You can administer anesthesia to people who are getting surgery or people who are about to deliver babies, and those people make a lot of money. They make between 250,000 to 400,000 a year. So and like psych nurse practitioners, they make between 150,000 to 250,000. They might even make more if they own their own practice. So nursing is very broad, and if you're looking to broaden or expand in the field of nursing, it's one of the good things. It creates avenues for you, and I think another part of nursing is information technology. So there are people called what is they do nursing informatics. So they do data engineering with nursing. So that's another thing that nursing does. It's broad. It opens way. It creates a pathway for you to do anything you want to do. Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
I mean, is there any link between nuclear nursing and actual registered nursing or nursing general?
So, nursing is the act of taking care of people, right?
Okay.
And in nursing, there are different branches. People who are called the nurses aide. There are people called licensed practitioner nurses. They're also nurses, but they have limited, I won't say power, but they have limited functions that they can do. And registered nurses also have limited functions, just like a registered nurse practitioner has a limited function that they can do compared to other doctors. So those are some of the things that nursing kind of illustrates. You have your function as a junior nurse or senior nurse based on whatever you do. So there is no difference, but the only limitation is your function based on your certification. Uncle Israel. Um, so to become an LPN, you don't necessarily have to get a college degree. You can take a program that's only maybe 16 or between 9 to 16 months, depending on the school. And then after you get your certification, you just go, and when you get your certificate from the program, you still have to register to take a board exam to practice as a licensed practitioner nurse. Meanwhile, to become a registered nurse, you have to get a college degree. It could be an associate degree or a bachelor's degree, or even people go ahead and get their master's degree to become a registered nurse.
So what is the limitation to being an LPN? What's the limitation to that?
Okay, for example, oh yeah. So for LPNs, they can administer medication, they can take care of wounds, injuries, they can attend to emergency situations, but they cannot give IV medications like intravenous fluid. They can give IM. IM means intramuscular, meaning they can give medications through. They can give vaccines. They can do a tuberculosis test. They can give antibiotics through the muscles, but they veins. Yeah, that's one of the and they cannot assess. They don't do assessment. They can only they can implement plans that the RNs draw out. So they report to the RNs, and they get delegated to from the RNs. The RNs tell them, okay, go do this task, and they go do the task. So that's some of the differences between LPNs and RNs.
One more question, sir. Sorry. So you're talking about Mrs. Virginia yesterday, right? You said she's a registered nurse and a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
So what does that mean? Can
Okay,
you
so
make it as simple as possible?
okay, she's a registered nurse. She went to school, got her college degree, bachelor's degree as a registered nurse, and she ended up going to school to get her master's degree to act like a doctor. So as a nurse practitioner, you're like a doctor. You can prescribe medications, you can own your own practice, you can have people come visit you in your office, and then you can prescribe them. She has to. So the difference is she has to get a master's degree. Maybe in the 80s or the 90s, people didn't have to get their master's degree to become a nurse practitioner. All they had to do was just take the board certification exam to become a nurse practitioner. Any other question? Okay, if that's all, I'm going to move to the next guest for the night. She comes from a financial sector of life. She is um, she is German, and you can see I see something here that says Volkswagen Financial Services. By the grace of God, I'll be getting a discount on my car payment. Somebody say amen. Yeah, so all the way from Bartwig, Germany. Please give it up for Miss Caroline Lagis.
Hi, my name is Caroline. Debbie asked me to. Can you hear this here? Yeah. Okay. Debbie asked me to talk about my career a little bit. Some of you may know me. I heard already today that I am her twin sister. Yeah. So as I was introduced, and as you can probably hear from my accent, I'm German. I grew up in Germany. Bitte. I grew up in Germany. Do you have my slides here, or should I just talk? Okay. Yeah, I grew up in Germany. That's where I went to school, to high school, and to university. And I guess I will go into the steps a little and how I ended up over here. I'm not sure if I'm, yeah? Okay, good. Can you go to the next one? Okay, so yeah, I'm from Germany, and this is my hometown, Braunschweig. It's in the northern part of Germany, very old town that wasn't destroyed in the World War. So we have a lot of nice old buildings. That's where I grew up. My parents are over there still, and that's where I went to high school. So in high school, I already noticed I like numbers a lot, so I focused on mathematics already, and that's what I did then afterwards in college. If you can go to the next one. Yeah, so I studied financial and business mathematics in Braunschweig, in my hometown. I think I got a little pushback in the beginning because I'm a woman in mathematics, and then I guess at school some people look at you, oh, like you dress up, you're a woman, why are you studying mathematics? Are you sure you can do this? But yeah, I still did it, and I'm glad I did. As I said, I started in Germany, in Braunschweig, to do this, and then I've always wanted to go abroad and I guess study somewhere else and learn a new language or continue to learn the language because we learn English already in school. And then I decided to go to the US. I'd never been in the US before, but for some reason I wanted to go, and then I ended up in El Paso, in Texas, at UTEP, and did like an exchange year over there. I think that was the best decision I ever made. I think it broadens your view to go to a different country by yourself. Yeah, learn how to survive by yourself, meet new people. You have to be open. I had to learn the language better. I had learned it in school, but it's a different kind of English when you actually move to the country. So I think it helped me a lot to broaden my knowledge, my mind, be open to meet new people, which also helped me in my career, I think, a lot. So I went back home after a year and then finished my degree in financial and business mathematics. I started working for a German company. I didn't mention it here because that wasn't that important, I would say, but I started to work in controlling. And then 4 years later, I went to Volkswagen, the German famous car maker. I started again in controlling. As I said, I like numbers a lot, so we looked at, so the headquarters of Volkswagen is in Germany. That's where I started. we looked at the numbers of every market, just working with the numbers and seeing how much money do we make where. I guess I go into more detail in on the next slide. But yeah, so I started with Volkswagen and I'm still with them. While I was working with them, I decided that I wanted to learn more, and then I did a MBA, online MBA in general management. Yeah, so I was working full-time, and then I still did online and did another degree, which I think broadened my knowledge more and helped me again in my career. Can you go to the next one, please? Yeah, so I mentioned I work for Volkswagen, maybe to explain a bit, because I think not everybody knows how many brands we actually have and what all belongs to Volkswagen and how many different kind of jobs we actually have. So these are all the brands. Not all of them are in the US, but so Audi belongs to Volkswagen, Bugatti, Bentley, Porsche. Yeah, and then there are some brands that we don't have over here. So Seat is a Spanish brand, Skoda is from Czech Republic, so there are some other brands. Ducati, the motorcycle, we also have here. And then I'm actually working in this part in the financial services. So we do the financing and the leasing for all of these brands. So if you go to a dealership and buy the car, we either finance it or we lease it. You can go to the next one. There are a lot of hands.
I've been driving Volkswagen all my life, and I always get them brand new. And I'm making payments on my car. I need my payments slashed half.
I don't think I can help with
I
that.
agree with him. I agree with him. I second that.
I don't think I can help with that. Sorry.
So, good question, ma'am. So,
Yes.
why is Porsche in the financial division and not in the automotive division? Is
But
that
there
Porsche,
are
right?
two. So
Okay.
this is the car.
Okay.
Porsche, and then here Porsche Holding, they also do some financing.
Okay,
So
okay.
these are all the financing, but the actual car is over
That's
there.
right. Okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, I've been to, okay. So I know in Mexico they have Seat, and I've been to Germany. They have Audi, Seat, Skoda, Bentley, Bugatti, Porsche, Scania,
All of them.
all of them in
Yes.
Germany. Why don't they have them in America?
Well, it depends on the market, but how the Seat cars are small. So
Yes.
I guess the market in the
Market
US
is
likes bigger cars,
cars,
so
yeah.
that's why they are not here. Maybe they will come one day, but they are not. Yes.
Okay. So, because I drive a Volkswagen,
Yes.
right? They have brands like the Atlas, Crossport, but over there, why do they have cars like T-Cross, T-Roc, and we don't have those in America? That's
Wait.
one. And why is it that when the speedometers goes up to like 320 miles, and over here we only get 160 miles?
Okay, I didn't know this would be a Volkswagen question. So the Volkswagen models that you mentioned, those are small ones again that we have in Europe that wouldn't probably go over here because Americans like big cars. So for example, the Atlas we don't have in Germany because that's big and we like smaller cars. So that's a different. What was the other question? Oh, well, it's because it's not allowed to drive faster over here, so that's why the cars are different. Because we can drive faster in Europe, so it's different. Yeah. There's another slide, but go ahead.
I have a question. So when you were getting your degree, so you have 2 master degrees?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one was in
Financial and business mathematics.
financial business mathematics, and then the second one was in.
It's general management, MBA.
And how did you find those specific concentrations in masters? Was it through guidance from a peer or a family member, or did you do the research for those specific job titles to make sure that that master's degree would help you get your foot in the door?
Yeah. So the first one was just because I've always liked mathematics so much, but I didn't want to go only in mathematics. That's why I chose like to combine it with business. I'm not sure if this is offered over here together. When I went to El Paso, I just took finance classes and mathematics classes, so I don't know if this is one thing over here, but in Germany they offered it. So that's how I thought I could be more successful to combine mathematics with finance or business. That's why I chose that one. And then once I was working, I think it was colleagues that inspired me. And yeah, I work with a lot of managers, and then I think I wanted to learn management and everything that is together with management. And then I chose to do that. It was hard. I don't know if I mean, I know you also did a degree while working full time, so you know it's hard. But I guess it was worth it, but it wasn't easy. So you have to dedicate your time to it and actually really want it.
And has your MBA put you in more leadership roles at Volkswagen?
Yes, yeah. So I think now, so I started in controlling, and then I've worked in controlling for like 4 years, I think, and then I switched to the region. So now I think that's where the MBA helped me, because so now I work with the regional manager who's responsible for many markets. So right now for the US, Canada, and Mexico, and we look at everything that's happening in the markets and then report back to headquarters. So it's IT topics, it's financing the car, it's how much money do we make that month, that year, it's, I don't know, a marketing campaign, it's digital. So it's very broad. So it helped me a lot to I guess to get a better position. So here, I just wanted to explain how big Volkswagen Financial Services is, my division. So we are in 47 markets, almost all over the world. And as I said, we do the financing, the leasing. We also do insurance and services. We do the dealer financing and also mobility solutions. And why I put this up here, so there are so many different jobs. So you can be in finance like me, or in marketing, or in digital, or in IT. And there are jobs for all of these fields, just alone in financial services. And then there are more with the brand, obviously, like production, how the car is made. So the factory in the US is in Chattanooga, so not over here, but the corporate headquarters is in Reston and Herndon, but yeah, the factory actually is in Chattanooga. But there are many opportunities in, I would say, almost any field. Yes. Yeah, that's a good question. So when you finance a car, you actually own it at the end. So the title is yours.
Okay.
When you lease it, we will still be the owner, Volkswagen Financial Services, and you just use the car. And your contract is, let's say, for 3 years. There are different kind of contracts, and then after 3 years, you give it back. So it depends what you want, but you like the price that we calculate is for that we get it back. We calculate, okay, how much is the car gonna be worth in 36 months, and then you pay for these. You make these payments for 36 months, and then we get it back. So you don't have to worry about, let's say, if the car is losing value, because that's our risk.
And okay, I'm not trying to pry into your business model. I'm not trying to pry, but why would somebody in his right mind lease a car?
Why would what?
Why would somebody in his right mind lease a car? Why not finance the car, get the car back, and own it? Is it okay? Let me try and reframe my question. That's that one, but from a business side, from your company, which one is more better for you? A person leasing a car, or a person financing a car? Which one do you prefer as the business side?
On the business side?
Yes, ma'am. I know I'm asking the question that revolves around your concept, but I just want to know.
I mean, we price both of them so that obviously we also make money.
Exactly. Okay.
Obviously, but there are also campaigns where, so we work, for example, together with the brand, the financial services with the brand. So let's say Audi, they belong to us, and then we work with the brand and put together a campaign. We say, okay, we want to have the Atlas out for, I'm making up numbers, don't quote me, but we want to have the Atlas out for $499 a month payment. And then they put in money, we put in money to make a good customer payment work. So, I mean, it depends. With better campaigns, we make less money and it's better for the customer. It depends. We make money with both, obviously. As a customer, I think it depends what you want. There are also differences what countries' preferences are. So in some countries, leasing is not very popular because the people want to actually own the car. US is a very big leasing market, so here leasing is very, very well. I think, in my opinion, I like leasing because you don't have the risk that something is wrong with the car. You just give it back after a certain amount of time and get a new one.
Go for it. So after 3-4 years, give us the car back. We can get you a new one.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
obviously,
so-
you have to sign a new contract and make more payments, but yes. Yes.
I wanted to shed light on leasing and financing because I've done both before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's based on your preference, and one thing is the dealers will always want to make money. So, and it's just for you to decide how much loss you want to take. You understand? Because cars usually don't appreciate; they depreciate, unlike houses. So when you want to buy a car, if the car is 30,000, and sometimes interest rate is based off the interest on the financing of the car is based off the whatever is out there, meaning that whatever the market is at. So let's say interest rate is 5% out there right now, and when you finance the car and your credit is not good, they may even tell you, oh, you have to pay 10% in interest rate for financing a car. Meanwhile, even when you finance the car, at the end of when you're done paying for the car, the title becomes yours for the car. But when you're financing the car, even if you're not done making your payments, they give you a lien title. That means you can't resell the car unless you pay off the value that you owe on that car. So leasing and financing are not too different, but they are different. Leasing, you put down a lower down payment and say, okay, for 3 years, let's say the car is 30,000, and they say, okay, we want you to pay $200 or $300 every month. And then you do the math. Oh, if I pay $300 every month, that's 3,600 for 3 years, and that's like 10,200. And when you return the car may still be worth more than that, and the car may still be in good value. You can decide to even buy the car after you've leased the car.
So with the leasing, there are usually several options. You can either keep leasing it or get a new one or just return it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Based on the society or the economy generally, there are different types of users. So based on individual aspect and business aspect, to some business it's better they lease because at the end of the day they could just expense it out rather than keeping it as a property. Because at the end of the day, as he said, that car depreciate. There's no how they want to have the cost or keep depreciating that kind of a asset, because at the end of the day it might be more like lucid to them. That doesn't really worth keeping.
Yeah.
So leasing on its own is preferable for businesses rather than individual. To individual, it doesn't make sense. Why will I have to pay all that kind of amount? At the end of the day, it's still not my property.
Well,
But
it depends. But yeah.
Exactly.
It
Based
also
on
depends how
individual
the
preferences.
economy is going, because like right now with COVID we had like a car shortage, so there were not enough new cars. So that means the values of the used vehicles went up. So like if you actually had a car and sold it, it was worth a lot. But there can be times where you actually lose a lot of money because the car loses value every year. So it depends. Yeah. Maybe to come back to one point, how I ended up over here, because that could be interesting. So I was at headquarters in Germany, and then we have the program there. They send a lot of people around the world. So they sent me over here to the US to work in the US headquarters for a few years. And then they send people also to Brazil, or they tell people from China to come to Germany, or one of my coworkers at work is from Brazil. So they always say, and I agree, it's good to go to a different market to learn how a different market is doing it, and then go back to your home country, for example, and use what you learned. So I like working with Volkswagen because it's very international. You have a lot of good chances to go other places, learn a lot. And even if it's not Volkswagen, I think it's always very good to be open-minded and just go maybe to a different location. And like you said too, like you learn so much from other cultures, how they do stuff. Yeah, I think it's just very eye-opening and helped me a lot, I think. That's it. What other questions do you have? Yes.
What's the insurance and what?
Yes, and services.
Insurances. wholesale financing and mobility solution.
Yes.
So, your company as a whole. So you have an insurance insurance group. Do you have an insurance company that insures the car either for leasing or financing?
Yes. So you can
Interesting.
when you can get a car insurance when you buy the car, either just when you buy it or also when you lease or finance it.
So, do you okay? For example, McDonald's, right? McDonald's has a franchises, right, that they give to individuals. They have franchise, but still under the McDonald's umbrella, right? So, if I want to be an insurance for your company, so can you franchise it to me as an individual or no? Can I be a
I'm not-
franchise insurance agent under Volkswagen?
Oh no.
Why? No, why? Yeah.
Well, because
Mhm.
we have our own insurance.
Okay.
There-
Okay.
Like when you go to the dealership,
Uh-huh.
let's say I go to the dealership
Yes,
and then I decide, okay, I want to buy this Volkswagen, and then the dealer is going to offer me probably financing, leasing. Then I say, okay, I want to finance it, and then he says, do you want to add insurance? And then he's adding insurance, and it's usually our insurance,
Okay. Fair
or
enough.
also like a service package, or yeah. Yes. I should know. I think they introduced it. I have to look it up. I don't know the year, but I know it's coming.
Is the dual motor going to ever be available? Is it just going to stay inside?
Oh
of the
gosh, I'm not a technical person. I do not know. Sorry.
One more question. So it's about insurance. So do you, it's 'cause I know that most people, when they go into business, they want to make profit, maximize profit as much as they can. Is it beneficial that when you buy or finance or lease a car from Volkswagen to get the insurance, is it advisable to get the insurance from Volkswagen also? Is it better than Geico or State Farm, Nationwide, or
Well-
whatever insurance?
Well, I can't speak for all the insurances, but I know like a lot of times you can get a good deal at the dealership if you just combine everything. Because a lot of times we have campaigns and say, I don't know, you get free service packages on top or something like this. So I think the more you combine from one company, the better the deal is. But I'm not the expert that can tell you which insurance is the best. I should say ours. Hopefully it is ours. But you can definitely, as a customer, combine it and get a good deal. Yes.
As far as being in finance with Volkswagen, do you guys offer internships for people to study abroad from going to the States to America? I mean, to Germany, or is it?
Well, I think internships are usually more within the own market where you're from, because it's a big process with visa and everything. So I'm not sure if we would offer, because you would have to apply over here and say, but you want an internship in, let's say, Germany. I'm probably not, because there's a lot of visa work behind. But once you are in the company, then it's easier to move around. I mean, it's not super easy. They don't send everybody around because it's obviously a lot of money, but there are good chances that they want to develop you and send you to other locations. But I would say as an internship, you would probably have to start at your main location, because it's a lot of costs for the company to just send you somewhere.
Western location that people can go online to look at and apply to?
Yes, so I think it should be VW Korea. Like if you Google Volkswagen Koreas, then you can choose actually which location. They should even show you every brand. So yes, so there are openings. I don't know what's open right now, but there are usually always openings. We, for example, get an email every Friday with internal openings, but I know there are also external openings. And as I said, I think in all of the, so for Audi, Volkswagen, then we have Electrify America. They do all the charging stations around the country. That's an extra company over here, separate. Ducati. So there are openings for all these companies. Yes.
Yeah.
Coach, thought you were going more. What's your finances?
Does anybody have any more questions?
Because I'm gonna keep quiet. No. Don't worry. I will do one-on-one question.
Yeah, let's give a round of applause
to Caroline. She did a wonderful job. I know now that before I go get my next car, I'll call you or I'll have you follow me to the dealership because I want to get the 2024 Atlas. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I pray that God Almighty continues to bless you in Jesus' name. Next on the list is no one other than our one and only, I call him Big Brother, Money Maker, Shuku Shaker, by the name Tomisin Akinola. Please give him a round of applause. Just to give you a brief, intro, he's going to be our IT go-to person tonight. He's going to give you the ins and the outs of getting into information technology. He is a renowned, broad, international. He has all the knowledge, the insights to give you on how to go into IT, go out of IT, and take over IT. Please give him a round of applause again.
Hallelujah. I just hope we don't have anyone from IRS here tonight. My name is Tomisin, or Tomisin. I like Tomisin actually. Akinola. I would say if you call me IT consultant, I will take it. But I've been on and off in healthcare and IT close to like a decade now. Actually started my career every average Nigerian, you want to be a doctor, the only occupation that is available that your parents will approve for you to study is either you become a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, accountant, yes, but I know. So then I found myself learning physiology with the hope to get to medicine, and along the line I decided to switch career into IT, which I did not regret. And I would love to just walk us through different aspects of IT and the one you can venture into, answer a few questions that commonly asked questions. Like a lot of people are concerned about what it takes to be in the IT sector. Like, do you have to be a science-inclined person? Do you have to become a scientist? Do you need this knowledge, that knowledge? And as much as I can answer, because IT is a very broad field to start with, like literally I said that data is the new oil, is a future. In medicine, there is data. In like my brother said, in nursing, there is data, literally everything. And like Miss Caroline said too as well, in finances, you look at the records, they do what we call prediction model, whereby we can foretell like people who are gonna buy and all like that. Through data you can do prediction, you can even guess number of people that are gonna come to church on Sunday. That's where we're coming to. Hallelujah. So maybe I will have to discuss that with Daddy, like do consultation, like, every Sunday we should be expecting like 50 people are going to come to church based on this data, from the analysis that we did, me and Uncle Ayo. We can tell that this is, so generally is a big, next please, big field, but I'm going to group it into 3 different aspects to kind of like give an overview of the IT sector generally and break it down as much as possible. So I put it into 3 different classes. We have the IT infrastructure, we have the software development, and the data science and analytics, which is where I specialize in. And the first one, next please, the first one, which is IT infrastructure, I'll break it down into 2 different aspects for us to be able to like, let me acclimatize us into that field. We have the technical aspect and the non-technical aspect, because this is a common question that people ask that, okay, if I want to get into IT, I don't like maths. I don't like maths too. I do like maths. And people say, I just like to talk. Some people tell you that they can't even approach, they can't even, they don't like crowd, they can't stand crowd, they can't talk to people, they don't like meetings and all like that. So IT is so wild that every aspect of life you can find yourself a place that suits you. If you don't like to face the crowd, there's an aspect for you. If you don't like the coding, the technical part, there's a space for you. But the first one that I'm going to start with is the IT infrastructure, which is I would say the technical part. So you talk about the data management. This database management is actually, so one thing about IT is like they're kind of interwoven, right? Every aspect leads to the other. Like, if you learn this aspect, it will be important or useful for you to navigate into different ones. So going back to a little about myself, when I started, I think the first exposure I have into IT was in my final year in college, when I was doing physiology, and there's a course we did then that's called biostatistics, I think. Yeah, ecology and biostatistics. So that was where they get to like tell you about your environment using statistical value to like, get certain thing out of, a patient and all like that. So now that will give you that exposure for you to understand the general knowledge. IT is like you wanting to build a house. If you want to build a house, you want to look at the tools that you need. You want to look at what it would take to build a house. You want to draw a plan that you follow to build a house. You want to look at the color of texture of materials you want to use, the color you want to paint, you want to use, and all like that. So all put together. So database management is very, very vital in the entire IT sector, because out of this, a lot of other things now come to play. Now, when we talk about database management, we talk about the house itself, like the storage. Let me just put like a database itself is like a storage system. Let's say in a house you have a room, you have multiple rooms in the house. In one of the room, you have a closet. In that closet, you have different kind of clothes, right? In that same concept, you have your database, and in your database, you have your different schemas, and in those schemas, you have different tables. In those tables, you have multiple columns. This is a common thing that we know, and this is how data are being gathered. Maybe we decide to do a row count or do from Monday to Sunday that we've been having our activities. We want to do a roll call, and we have 15 male, 10 female. Our attendance is this and all like that. That is how you put data together. Now, those data, you now put it in a row, in a like kind of an order in the database that will be easy for you to retrieve those information, maybe to do your analysis or for business logic and all like that. So these data are being stored in the database. Now, the whole IT system revolves around that. So the management of that data, the security in terms of the kind of data you're storing, like when you have to do with people's personal information, then when it comes to like their governance in terms of those data that you are keeping, the management of the data entirely, and also the language in which you have to retrieve those information or store those information, which is commonly called SQL. Like, I think that's the best platform that literally almost everybody will have, basic understanding of. So even if it's going to be 1 to 10, you want to know that for like 1 or 2 out of 10. I won't go into details because I can tell some people that are looking at me that I, SQL guru, so we will not do that right now. And also networking and infrastructure. This aspect is a little bit more technical and non-technical in the sense that if it has to come with networking, there's what we call a space in which, so I talk about the house, I talk about it like being a storage. So that storage can be in 2 different aspects. It can be in the cloud and it can be on-prem. Now, they are on-prem, which is the first one that they started with, like in terms of the storage system of, of data and all like that. So there are people who have to put it together. I know you've come across this, you might not just, pay attention to it. You see those wire, put together and all like that. So there are people that, basically what they do is just to ensure those connections are working well, everywhere is like, all intact. And now we have it in the cloud, which we'll still get to. So it's very, very important. That just requires you to understand how it's being done. It's just you being an electrician. You need to understand that this is red wire. If you touch the red, we go here for only sure we have to do job before that person probably be coming back. So, and the other aspect is just for you to when it comes to the cloud where you have to, understand the basic, how those things work and that. And also cybersecurity. This is one important aspect that I know a lot of people have been going into. They say majority of Nigeria, there's this common joke that you say, is Nigerian, is into cybersecurity, and he lives in Texas, and you think he's, you think he's sent from heaven, that he's a lesson, I can't remember that, it was so funny. He's resting from heaven. Hallelujah. So, cybersecurity, another aspect, so we talk about data, we talk about information that's being stored in this data, like I said earlier, data is the future. There are so many things that can be done with those information that are being saved, even the one on your phone, the one that you want to open up a credit card, and they'll be asking you for information. What they are doing is called information gathering. They are gathering those data that can be used, and those information are vital. So people can steal that information, they can use it to identity theft and all like that. So there's this government body that ensure those data are properly managed and all like that. Next slide, please. So this other side is we talk about the non-technical part of IT. If you see in that introduction that they decided to give, they gave me, they wrote something there called PMP, Project Manager Management Professional. When I first started with IT, I was telling that story before I deviate. I started nothing close to being an IT professional. I started in an healthcare sector, but along the line, I decided to, switch into IT. And I started with data analytics. I started learning data analytics. I learned data analytics in a boot camp. And, as I progress, I get to discover that there's a lot of things I need to know for me to grow my career. And part of it is, getting into management, getting into, understand better interpersonal relationship, how to relate with people, how to manage organization, how to speak with people, which is one strong tool that I did not have, and and how to get into the management position in an organization. So it will require you to get a few certification here and there, learn one or two things that you might not be strong with. A lot of people are talented. The Bible said the talent of a man will pave way for him and make him dining with king, but it's not everybody that has that talent in every field. So there are a few certifications that you can get. Like project management is one aspect that is very important. Like they are kind of like the one that spearhead the entire project that has been ongoing, like maybe in an organization. They are kind of like there's a way we call them at my job, and because they're watching you, they're watching everything you're doing. They assign tasks to you, and they give you a deadline, and they're not doing anything. All what they do is just to sit down in meeting, attend meeting. I know they're doing stuff, right? Yeah, they're not like Oga, but they kind of like they monitor every activity. They ensure everything is good. So we have this project tracker called Jira. So they can use that Jira to assign tasks to you and give you organize the sprint and all like that. So what they're trying to do is just to ensure that everybody keep to their own part of the bargain. So they don't want to put a project on you, and the project will just be lying on your desk because some other people are coming to you for other requests, and that will, exceed 2 weeks, 3 weeks on your own, and it won't go to the next phase. And there's a circle that we follow. It's called the SDLC of every project. So they want to ensure that if you're supposed to spend 2 weeks with you, it's not exceeding that 2 weeks. It's not exceeding every time that you're supposed to move from one developer to the other to ensure we're able to meet the goal. So this does not require any technical know-how. All what you have to do is you need to documentation is very important. Like if you're kind of people don't know how to put things on paper, document and follow up and you forget, then this might not be a very good aspect of IT for you to go into. And also, this aspect has actually been going into extinction before COVID, the IT support and X-Dex. You see sometimes you call and you have issue with your, let's say you have issue with your computer, right? And you call customer service and they're like, oh, let me refer you to the IT department. Those are the people they refer to. So these people are always on standby to like give you that, answer information about anything technical that you can, get going with your stuff. But I think is an aspect that you can also get into. It just requires you to know things that people need to do and, give them that quick answer on the go. Then the other part is the ethical and the legal compliance. This is very, very important, especially when you have to do with healthcare data and, I can see a few military people here. These aspects, they are very important in terms of the information that has been made available in the data sector generally. Next, please. So the next one is the software development. This, if you love science, if you want to be technical, this is an aspect that you want to, put yourself into. This require, in fact, anytime you talk about IT, I don't know if I'm talking to the mic or is it low? Put it a little bit right. Oh, Jesus Christ. And I just noticed that my voice is not as sweet as those previous presenter. Can you hear me now? I see the difference. Money is good though. Hallelujah. So this aspect, if you want to get into like this one, you're going to code. If you talk about IT, the first thing that everybody's going to ask, which I know the question will still come is, I don't like coding. No. Do I have to code? This aspect of IT, you will need to learn coding. You need to learn like, tools like Python, like different coding tools. Now, just to correct one notion, SQL is not coding. So I know I'm still going to go back to it or talk about it like, okay, you do SQL, SQL is coding. SQL is not coding. SQL is a language that you learn like you're learning English. It's just a language that is called SQL. I think the meaning is SQL query language. Yeah, SQL query language. Dr. Tony. I mean, there are doctors that are into IT now too, though. I know a good friend of mine that, every of his patients, as he just inputting those data, like he's creating his own database for, quick retrieval of the data. So this aspect will require you to learn, it's very technical, but not difficult, not that difficult. IT is not going to stress you physically. You're not going to have to go to work. You can work from home, which is, it's very flexible. But trust me, it's going to stress you mentally. So you got to be ready for it. So if you want to learn this one, you have to, there are a few certifications that you can take, you can learn, both programming and software development, cloud computing, and there are various aspects, there are various occupations around this software development and web development as well that you can learn. But the most important thing about this aspect of IT is that you will have to learn the tools before you can get into it. Next, please. This one, data science and analytics. This is I think the most juicy part of IT, if there's anything like that. So this one you can say, if you look at it, you said data science and analytics, you will tell, oh, this is for the science people, but it's not. There are different aspects under this data science and analytics that you can actually venture into, and you don't need any prior science knowledge. You can be a data analyst, you can be a data scientist, you can be, and this is like what is projecting us into the future. I know you can see the artificial intelligence there. I think in the morning when you called me, I said I've not even prepared my slide, and I just type it on ChatGPT, and I copied that thing and I put it on slide.ai, and it made the slide for me. So this is like a cheat code. Honestly, the only thing I just had to do was just to go back in there and just add one or two things. I was able to put this together in like not up to 30 minutes. So that is a feature, is what you can use to help yourself and also make money from. There are so many aspects of this. I've been a visualization specialist with my job, and I kind of concentrate on this aspect of IT, whereby you can test story with data, you can interpret data and be able to give informed information about those particular data or whatever kind of data that you're dealing with. And this can be applicable to either X sector or any sector generally. And this is a very, broad aspect. I would love if there's time to, go back on it to this and the next slide. So what are the requirements for you to become, to venture into any aspect of this IT that I talked about? You'll be thinking maybe I will write in there that you have to do this certification and all that. In fact, I have to put asterisk on that, get certified, because it's not that important. I only start getting certification after a very long time of me being an IT professional. All what is required of you is to identify your interest and ability. So if you know you can't stand people to like talk about stuff, you don't want to get into, there are so many aspects like I said earlier that you can venture into. So you know what your interests are and your ability, and you enroll in a boot camp. It's very important for you to enroll in a boot camp for them to teach you. You can learn what, so one thing about IT is that you can, what it will take other people years to learn, you can learn it within 3 months. If you're able to get a very good boot camp, you can learn within 3 months. They will teach you. But one thing you have to do is you have to be determined. You have to put in the effort. I think that's the most important thing. You have to put in the effort, learn, and study, make research on your own and all like that. Then you associate yourself with people that are already in the field. So you can learn more things because IT requires, sometimes it's just about, you can gain more knowledge from conversation with people than you even learn you reading to get into this aspect of life and continuous learning. And another thing that I don't have on my slide that I would love to talk about is, I think I already get into it earlier on, is that understanding how to find a work-life balance. Getting into IT, I always tell people, like, you need to design a routine that you follow. This is not going to stress you physically, but it's going to drain you mentally. You need to design a path. If not so, you wake up in the morning and you go to bed thinking like, the day has gone, I've not achieved anything, and you're tired already because you're thinking. You have to be a problem solver. You have to be, you have to be very logical with the way you approach whatever aspect of IT that you want to get into. So you define a routine. Recently, we're trying to get someone into DevOps in my project, and one of the questions that we were told to ask is that, how do you manage your work-life balance? Which is very important. A lot of people don't know it. Like, there was one guy that is so technical, like, understand his craft and all like that. But he said, he just loves to work. Everything about him is all about work. But now people want to get to know that, okay, aside the work, do you have a life? If you cannot manage your life properly, how will you be able to be productive with the job that we're given to you to do? So it's very important. I mean, it comes with a very good pay. I'm not going to go into that. I know a lot of people know that. I mean, for the good reason, because they're paying you for your intellectual, not just what you render. Next slide, please. And that will be my conclusion. I know there are going to be a lot of questions. I was supposed to make it more interactive where you ask questions along the line, and I get to like pause a little bit. Now I think my saliva is amen. Yeah. Yes, sir. I think you should do something. Of course, you're welcome. I can give you the details to put in. The position is still open, actually. The position is still open, and the good thing is that even that amount is not a fixed amount. If you're a good negotiator, you can negotiate your price higher. That is one thing with IT. You can. So, I said certification is not really necessary, not for all aspects of IT. As you get into it, it's important for you to get a few certifications and be able to back it up, talk about it and all that. It helps a lot. So if you want to get into that, shoot in your resume. Yes, ma'am.
What boot camps would you recommend for people to attend in this area that are affordable that they could use to get into IT? And can you then later share it with us so that we can share it with others?
Yeah, that is a very good question. But I'll answer it in this way. So because IT is really big, and for you to, I can give you a few to mention. There are some that are expensive, but you still get the return on investment. And there are some that are very cheap, like even Udemy. You can get on Udemy and learn any of these courses for like $20 or thereabout. But I mean, I remember when I did my own boot camp there, it was you copy it out, but it's worth it. Trust me. Every amount spent on you learning anything in terms of IT is really worth it. You can use Udemy. You can. So you have to make that choice of which aspect you want to concentrate on first. Then you identify whichever boot camp works for you. But if you want to learn anything regarding IT, I will always advise you not to look at the amount that they're charging, for you to learn it, because you're gonna make it like in a week or two. Yes.
Thank you. I mean, I'm familiar with Udemy and Google. First question: which one would you recommend the most? And then second, I heard you have one that you offer yourself.
So the first question, can you repeat the first question again? Which one I recommend for you to take?
Which one have you heard the best reviews from, as far as the Google certification classes, Udemy, Coursera? I'm familiar with all those, but which one would you say is the most effective?
So I will answer that question by saying, like, all of them are good. All of them are good. Google particularly have a lot of free classes that you can take. I know, like I did last year, I did a contract with them. They offer quite a number of free programs that you can get to just check it out and learn. But the most important thing is, which aspect do you want to specialize in? We have data analytics. It's really broad. I have to so I know there are a lot of aspects of IT that I did not even mention, because I have to try and cut it down and make it as concise as possible. Right. So you need to identify which aspect you're interested in and you want to get into. So if you want to get into, networking, it's different bootcamp. If you want to get into data analytics, a different time as well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
yes,
sir. Yeah, I thought you. I was told that you may have one that you offer yourself, or you do.
Yes, there are two that I can recommend for you. I'm just gonna ask the name. I know there's one member of our church that has something like that, that offers, and you can even get a good discount being a church member or being someone from this side. And the other one I know, just for the record, I'll just pass it down to you. Then you can enjoy.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah. His solution, SwiftLearn IT solution. SwiftLearn IT solution. SwiftLearn, like Swift. Learn IT.
Okay,
SwiftLearn IT.
IT solution.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give Uncle Thomas here a wonderful round of applause. He did wonderfully well. So those of us that want to join IT, please, you can reach out to him. He will be a very good resource for you. And I pray that as you branch into that, your effort will not be in vain. You'll make a lot of money, and you invest it in me in Jesus' name. Say amen now. Thank you very much again, Uncle Thomasy. At this point, we are moving to our next presentation, and it's going to be from wonderful people from a department of, of this part. Let me just say it this way. When people sacrifice their lives for your freedom, when people cross borders and oceans to make sure that things go well for you and I, they deserve a lot of accolades. They deserve a lot of applause. They deserve a lot of, praises, So at this point, I'm not even worthy enough to do the introduction to welcome these wonderful people that are here. But I will have one of our very renowned brother there is also a member of this church and has also served in the United States Army to please come up and give the introduction. He by the person, Brother Olamide.
Thank you so much. Oh man. Listen, first of all, before I even call them, I want to say this to wonderful cadets. And really, I feel like even calling Sergeant Man in a cadet is really like downplaying his resume, because he is almost the same type of experience that I have, or even more. He's been to way more training, way more experience. I'm actually see, I never met him, but even just by looking at his uniform, I could just tell everything that he has been through, and even words cannot even explain. But at this time, he's in the middle of I could call it a transition process from being enlisted to being an officer. So basically, and just so you know, they've been up since like 3:34 a.m. today, right? Am I lying? Yes, and they're still here, so they're really. I mean, I didn't have to wake up that early, thank God. But really, so before I proceed, when I introduce him, even though he's a cadet, I think because I know who he is, I'm gonna call him by his official military rank before official cadet. And if he wanna introduce himself as a cadet, then he could do that himself. So before I proceed, I want to introduce Sergeant First Class Manning. He was a drill sergeant, right? A drill sergeant, AIT instructor, airborne. He did air sword. Oh my goodness, he did so much. He jumped out of plane, aerocopters. You know the way we say things like that, and it sounds like we're joking. Everything is actually true. He has done it all. He developed soldiers, he trained soldiers, he did everything. And then our other cadet McDaniels, please come up. She's also a wonderful soldier. Over 3.0 GPA. She's doing a lot of amazing things. And you already know me. I'm just me. So I don't even want to start between the both of you, but would you like her to start first? Oh, so I'll go sit down because.
All right. Thank you all for allowing me to come out and speak. So that's me and my troops there. But a lot of what you heard today is pretty much the same. So everybody has a passion about their profession as well as I do. So trying to box the Army into a few minutes is kind of hard. So if you have questions along the way, just feel free to shoot. Another thing is I'll be giving a podcast on the 31st about the rumors and the myths of the Army on WBSU, Bulldog Nation Radio. If you guys want to chime in and just see us basically debunk some of those myths that people still hold on from like the Vietnam era of the Army. So, all right, next slide. So enlisted ranks, as Sir already said, we're gonna be talking about the enlisted ranks first. And a lot of people out there, they're wondering, how do I stack up against my peers, right? When jobs are asking for 3 years time and actually experience, but you just getting out of college, right? So the enlisted rank is kind of like that. For those 18, 19-year-olds, or even like somebody that's been in the world and they decide they want to change and they don't know how to make that change, the enlisted side is a great opportunity for that. So if you want to go in, I'm a combat medic specialist. So that means like I went in, I got my EMT license that somebody mentioned earlier, got to train as a paramedic, and then actually had hands-on with physicians, like working side by side, the same as a RN. So you get all of that experience. The enlisted side is the workforce of the Army. So the strategic side is coming from the commission side. We have warrant officers, which we'll speak about later on, that specialize in a specific field. And then you have your war fighter, which is the enlisted soldiers. All right. Yeah. So warrant officers are those specialized fields. So if you're thinking pilots, you're thinking people who handle the logistics of the Army. And the Army is really only two positions. You're either the warfighter or you're supporting a warfighter. A lot of people think that if you join our military, you're going to get shot at, which is not true, because we have so many jobs. It's just like I said in IT and RN, there's so many jobs out there. You could be a veterinary tech. You could be a paralegal. There's all kinds of things out there. As far as warrant officers, they're
You have to serve, probably go to Iraq, just you
No,
go to
sir.
Iraq. You don't have to?
No.
Interesting.
So yeah, so that's a great question, sir.
Yeah.
The question was, do you have to
actually go out there and do the combat first?
Just to piggyback off what Manning is saying, so right now me and Manning are part of the ROTC program at our school. So in the next slide, you'll see as officers, we're working our way up to commission as officers. So it's going to be a breakdown of NCO officers, enlisted, and warrant officers.
Right. Even as the enlisted side, if you're a paralegal, you have the opportunity to go out there, but I've been in over a decade now, and I haven't been on combat deployments, but I've been on operational deployments. So it's more suited towards my specialty.
I can enlist to be on the technical side. Like, okay, if I enlist if I enlist, right, I can say I want to enlist and I want to go to paralegal. I want to enlist and go to medical. I want to enlist and go into IT under the same as that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes. So being a soldier, your primary function is 11 Bravo. So we're all trained on how to go in and perform that function of an infantryman. However, your military occupational specialty is decided before you even sign your first contract. So you go in,
so later on down, you're gonna see branches where you're able to branch different things. So they have IT, med service. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna show you different branches you can branch.
Another great question. So when you go into your recruiter, you have to take the ASVAB, and the recruiter is basically going to give you an assessment, or the test is basically an assessment of your aptitude to learn a new skill. Enlisted. Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
So depending on how you score in that ASVAB is going to be determining which jobs are available to you. And then it's all about, as anything, the availability of that position. So it's a paragraph line number. The Army is suited to keep a certain amount of jobs in any specific field at a given time to make sure that we're prepared for war, right? So if you want to do a veterinary tech, you may score high enough for it, but at that particular time, it may not be available because we're overstaffed. However, you don't have to sign a contract. Just come back, and then it will be available. Or you could pick from another job that you may be interested in, because I myself, I went in thinking I was going to go into military intelligence, but that job that I wanted of human intelligence collector, it wasn't available at the time. And I was about to walk out, and Master Sergeant came out the back and said, just get your foot in the door. And I did. I said, okay, well, something having to do with healthcare, because I could always take care of my family using those skills. And healthcare specialist / combat medic was available, and I did that.
PMP, whatever, and I enlist, right? So, okay, I said, okay, I want to be in military intelligence, right? And he said, I don't have it, right? How long does it take for you to come back? Okay, you want something and don't have it at that moment. How long do you have to wait to come back again and do that process? How long?
So that's forming a relationship with your recruiter.
Okay.
Soldier retention process or whatever, the numbers come out monthly. So I myself, I'm Sergeant First Class. I'm able to retire at this rank. So it's really like once I hit time and service timing grade, I'm able just to retire. So it's really about when I decide I want to hang up my boots. But once I hang up my boots, that gives room for multiple people to move up. And as they move up, more jobs open up for the junior enlisted. So that's fine.
You said when you enlisted, you did not deploy, but you went into operation what?
Operational deployment. So,
and what is that?
There's different type of deployments. One is
a combat deployment where you know you're going to actually go out there and your job is to confront the enemy, right? You're going out.
Operational deployment is, say, the hurricane relief mission that I went on. That's the last one. So we went out there and we're supporting the local government and taking care of their people. So you're working with foreign nationals. You're working with different branches of the government. So we work with Health and Human Services. We supported the FBI because during that time they decided to take advantage of the opportunity to get high value targets. So it was a few of us that supported them. Then you're dealing with the DEA, ICE, the Red Cross, definitely. And then there's a civilian side that goes in for natural disasters and humanitarian relief. FEMA North, yes, it's definitely. So the federal government didn't foot the bill on that one. FEMA North did. So it's just a different funding from it. But But and then there's also a reconnoiter sort of deployment where you're actually going out and just collecting data. So there's different versions of deployments.
So with the ASVAB, what if you're not a good test taker?
Oh.
And how does that work? But you are intelligent, but you're just not good at taking tests.
It does practice. So if you go in and you see your recruiter, or if you're going to see any recruiter, a good recruiter is going to sit down with you. They'll give you a practice ASVAB. And if you don't score high for the job you want, they'll put you into a program that will help you with, say, your week in mathematics. you'll go into a program that's going to teach you math that you need to pass the ASVAB. If you're not good in the mechanical side of it, you'll go in and you'll have study groups in that one. The recruiter is going to help the trainee or basically the person that wants to come in get to where they need to be. Some people, they join and they're like, well, I'm out of shape. I don't think I could do it. I had a trainee as a drill sergeant that came in about 5'8", 330 pounds. Ex-football player, had kids, and decided to let himself completely go. But as a drill sergeant, all of us are there to make sure that that person that's coming in transitions successfully as a soldier. So there's always hope. And that's the great part about being in the Army.
If you failed, you can't take it no more. Is that correct now? And
No.
you take the test, maybe you come the first time you failed, second time you failed, third time you failed. I think after that, you are done, you can't take it no more, you can't come back no more.
No,
Am I correct?
we're going to find a place for you. But
Oh,
it is
interesting.
going to be an amount of time before you can take the test again.
Oh,
That's going
okay.
to allow you the time to actually go out and utilize those resources that the recruiters have for you to actually up that score.
What about as an officer? If you want to go in an officer role, don't you have a certain number of time you can take the test to
So
be an officer?
the officer route is a little bit different.
Okay.
And we'll get into that with further slides.
I'll keep quiet right now.
All right, you want to do the officers?
So, officers are individuals who are commissioned with ranks in military. So, like Lieutenant Ashikoya, he's a commissioned officer as opposed to Manning. He's a enlisted.
Commissioned officer
Yeah.
right now.
So right now, I have my hands in a little bit of both. I am a SMP cadet. So SMP stands for Simultaneous Membership Program. So that means, in other words, I'm technically half enlisted, but half working my way to be a commission through the ROTC program. So I keep referencing the ROTC program because right now as an undergrad, I'm taking courses to become a commissioned officer, if that makes sense.
Right. So as you mentioned, if somebody already has their degrees and such, they can join enlisted. We've had doctors, like engineers, they all come in just because they want to go through that process. If they're looking to gain citizenship, they'll go through the process because you have to serve enlisted a certain amount of time before you commission. But the job in itself is functioning is a little bit different. So me, I'm a senior enlisted non-commissioned officer. So with me, it's a lot of management and supervision. As far as the commission side, it's a little bit more strategic in making sure that the mission of tomorrow is going to happen. So that's why I'm going through the green to gold process and commissioning. The ROTC program is for those children who aren't, it's for people who aren't, I'm a little
Cadets.
older, so
Cadets.
yeah, it's the college students who decide they want to get into the military, but they don't necessarily want to do the enlisted side. They have the ability to complete their degree, not have to worry about like tuition, because there's tuition assistance programs, grants that gives the money. So if they don't want to get that degree in nursing, but they want to get that degree in nursing, but they don't want to have the debt after, they could just go into the Army Commission enlisted or enlisted program if they're enlisted, or they could just get into an AMED program through the ROTC and get their RN license. And then also, like an internship that I was asking about earlier, the Army, you're going to be right there with the officers who actually have the degrees and who have put in like decades in practice, and you'll be able to ask them firsthand the questions that you have.
Age cutoff to be an officer and to be to enlist.
Yes,
Yes,
there
yes,
is,
there
but
is,
there's
but
also
there's also
waivers.
waivers.
Everything is waiverable. So if you, for both. So it's, yeah, so I have an age waiver myself. So when I first came in, I went to do one contract and then get out. But I got in for my son because on the civilian side, I was making a lot of money, but the benefits of being able to pass down to my son, my job was my job, right? My career was my career. I couldn't just like give him transfer over benefits. So the military was a way of making sure that his medical is taken care of, his college when he wants to go, if he decides to go, is taken care of, and he has those options to choose if he wants to or not. It's not gonna, if he wants to travel or get a trade, go ahead and do it. I can afford it. So that's why I enlisted. But now, you had a question? Okay. Yeah, being able to transfer over now, again, he gets those benefits and such. I forgot where I was going. Trying to thought. Oh yeah. All right. So, right. I'm a little slow, right? So, been up since 3 o'clock. The age waiver thing. I got a age waiver for commissioning because the cutoff is 31. I'm 35 currently, so I had to get an age waiver. And all they did was look at the resume and then say, you know what, you're definitely somebody we could use. As far as enlisted, we had a 53-year-old trainee inside of my basic training.
And I also want to mention.
And he
oh,
kicked
sorry.
butt.
They also have medical waivers as well.
Yep.
So I have a medical waiver as well for my eyes. So if you have any type of like health or medical issues, you just go and they take a bunch of tests and stuff and see if you're approved to get medical waivers.
Again, with the waivers, however, is it goes with what job is going to be available to you. So if you're red-green deficient, you're not going to get a pilot program because you need to be able to see the red-green for depth perception, things of that nature. If you're prone to passing out because you see blood, you're really not going to get into the medical field. But there's so many other jobs that you get into. Finance, you get into IT, cybersecurity, it's all there. Next slide.
So right now, what you mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about the branches in the Army. So a lot of people think when you join the Army, you're going to be automatically going into the combat field, but they have branches. So they have infantry, chaplain, cyber, signal, MP, which is officer. Do you know any more?
Financial and comptroller.
Financial, yeah, stuff like that. So we're just going to explain a little bit of the branches.
All right, so infantry is the lifeblood of the Army. We already talked about it, where you either have two jobs as the warfighter or the person supporting the warfighter. Infantry is the warfighter. That's what they do. And it's not just one job. You do jack of all trades. It's not like we raised a bunch of John Wicks. People go in and they get specialized training in a specific portion, and it's like a mosaic, you know, a bunch of little pieces that make the big picture, and that's how the infantry goes. We have mortarmen, tankers, the 11 Bravos, scouts, Cav scouts, it's all over. And that goes into armor, which is the people that you've seen in tanks. If you've seen the movie Fury with Brad Pitt, those cool guys. Artillery is, again, somebody that's not going to be on that exact front line. They're sending support through fires. If you guys have seen Hacksaw Ridge, where, you know, those bombs are coming in from far away, it's our artillerymen, the king of battle, that's helping us out. Aviation support, so I myself am a combat medic. I could be a flight medic, so basically flying in, getting people from the point of contact or from the ambulance exchange point and flying them to maybe Germany, or flying them back to the States for more definitive care. Or you could be a crew chief or a gunner on that aircraft, giving support to other missions. So it varies. Engineers, basically the same thing. And all of these branches, they come with their own specific certifications. So it's not like you're in the past where you would join the military and you're getting out without any civilian certification. The Army's transition to making sure that our training systems align with collegiate grades. So you're taking the training, even basic training, what you come in from there. A lot of your electives are taken care of when you go to get your degree. When I came out, I came as a national registered EMT, and all of my electives basically were taken care of for my associates in health science. So it was basically going and having the Army pay for me to finish off 5 classes for my degree.
So for Signal Corps, some people who are interested in IT, you might be interested in this. For me, like Signal Corps is kind of similar to IT, but it's more so the hardware aspect. So you'll be doing like communication systems and like radio setup and satellites. As a Signal Corps officer, you also do get military clearance. So clearance being like secret clearance or anything like that, which you wouldn't get like in a regular civilian job.
You can. It costs a lot of money, so it's about $80,000
Yeah,
starting
so
out. So if you already have that going in, again, where those people are asking for all these credentials coming out of high school for these young adults, you go into the military, like if you're a combat medic, you're going to get a secret clearance, right? It's already paid for, so when you transition out of the military, a job is going to say, well, I get to save money if I hire him, and then also the government's probably going to throw me some kickback for hiring this service member. So it's a benefit. It's an upside on your resume.
And MP is what it exactly stands for, is military police. So they respond to like on-site stuff. MP's the officer.
And the MP, they could be road workers or they could be correction officers. So their job varies as well as with all the rest of them. Military intelligence is anything, again, not everybody goes to war. There's people who sit in a room and they gather intel on high value targets. They're not going to war. They're nerds that sit, well, they're not nerds. I've been a drill sergeant for the last 2 years, so I have to clean up my way of talking. But these are highly intelligent people who sit in a room, they test high on their ASVAB, and they're trained in collecting data and analytics from conversations and things of that nature.
Then they have medical corps, which is like
The best one.
They do care and support to the soldiers. Medics are on the field with you as well as chaplains.
The medics are the chaplain in the field when the chap isn't there. So the medical corps is. Oh, no, I'm better, man. You're not trying to get me struck in here. Yeah, but so the medical corps is super diverse. Again, not everybody is going into war. We have food inspectors. We have veterinary techs. We have water purifiers or preventative medicine. So they're going out there and they're testing the waters, or they're making sure that people have the medication that they need, or things of that nature. So you're not necessarily going into war. You're going to be, you might go into country, but you're going to be in a more protected side of country. You have a question?
Biological science previously. And you're looking to further. How would I go?
Again. And the question was like, if you already have your, what was that degree? A graduate's degree? If you're working on your graduate's degree, the Army has the Army Medicine Education Department, or the AMED. That may be that may be correct. So, but it's a department that is going to give you opportunities to go into those career fields. So as the senior enlisted leader of the Department of Neurology, we would get a bunch of young neurologists, basically, that had their degree, but they actually weren't in the field. And they just finished their basic soldierization, where they went through basic or BOLIC, and now they're coming in and they get that hands-on practice at Walter Reed right here in Maryland. So that's where I was at, the President's Hospital. And they get to work on a number of different types of patients. So they get that hands-on experience that they probably wouldn't have gotten in the civilian world because they wouldn't be trusted. But because they have that Army training, they're able to go in there and do it.
Then we have our transportation corps. They can transportate anything from thousands of dollars worth of equipment, machinery, anything, water, transportation, and all of that stuff.
Yep. Ordnance is the soldiers that we need because they supply weapons, ammunition, and explosives. So I come from a military family. I have a few people in all of these branches, and ordnance is one of them.
Quartermaster is kind of similar. They also supply food, clothing, and other general supplies. So as a quartermaster, you'll be doing a lot of signing off on stuff.
And then again, for those people that don't want to be war fighters, AG Corps, they're handling the administrative part of the mission. So you have JAG and legal matters, things of that nature. If the soldiers are going to a divorce, they need somebody to bring their paperwork to make sure everything is looking straight. Or if they're buying houses and they want to look over contract, they could take it to that branch.
Yeah,
any
branch.
If you score high enough, yes. Yeah. So if you score high enough and it's available.
So okay, let me say I walk into it and say, okay, I want to enlist as a quartermaster, right? So okay, I want to enlist as a quartermaster. So you're gonna give me the exam for a quartermaster, right? Is that right? I want to see a process. Tell me a process.
It's a general aptitude exam, and then you go through a background check. And then you'll have to go, if you're enlisting, you're gonna go to basic training, where it's 10 weeks, 4 days, where you're getting that basic soldierization and understanding how to do the job of an infantryman. After you leave there, you go to your advanced individual training, and that's where you're going to get the specific training for any of these branches.
And
Yeah.
and also, correct me if I'm wrong, but they do also have like a certain amount of slots. So I can't speak for all, but I know for Signal, like every year they'll put out a certain amount of slots. So you'll have like 7,500 people apply, and then they'll have like 120 slots. So you have to go with what's open.
That's why I'm getting all this information. So let's say I walk into your office today. Oh, Master Sergeant, I'm on a list. You take me through the processes. I sign this and that. So at that moment, do you ask me, do I what? Okay, let's say I score. Let's say your exam score is a 90, the highest score, right? And I score 89. Example, I score 89. Are you gonna ask me what area they want to specialize in, or I can decide and tell you, okay, fine, this is the area I want to go in?
Yeah, great question. When I went in, I originally was going to go Navy, and took the ASVAB, and after I took the ASVAB, I just didn't like them because the Navy, no offense to if anybody in here is the Navy. Right. So I decided to go to the Army. And when I went to the Army, took the ASVAB, they looked at me and they said, what do you want to do? Right? And I'm like, what are my options? Well, no, I didn't say that. I said I want to do military intelligence. So I had that, but because I gave my word to somebody that I had to do something, I had to do that, and I missed my ship date. I wouldn't be able to make that ship date. So they said, okay, these are your options for the ship date that you want to do. And then that's where healthcare specialists came in.
That you can get in terms of the waiver.
Again, we had a 53-year-old trainee.
So. On your resume that you can do this job and you can be amazing at it, they will waive it.
Really?
Yes.
Right. As long as you're able to physically do it and
And somebody requirements as well.
you're mentally tough enough to do it, then come on in.
Can somebody from outside here, like from Nigeria or wherever, can apply?
International.
Yes, great question. So there is a naturalization process.
Oh.
So they'll go through. You'll go through.
How does you're gonna walk me through that process?
You have to take your naturalization packet is expedited over like regular people coming into the country. Like you'll be a priority.
So,
you may not feel like it, but you'll be a priority.
So let's say I passed exam, I did that. How does your basic training look like? Is it jumping, frogging? I want to know maybe before I start. Am I gonna be doing press up, climbing a rope? I want to know. You know what I'm saying? I want to know. Am I climbing a rope? Am I walking in the Gora? You see all these movies, the training. Yo, you doing all that stuff. Am I doing all that for that? Just 6 weeks?
10 weeks.
10 weeks. So you have to do all that?
All of the above.
Oh, interesting.
The soldierization process, so again, it's not the same thing as Vietnam where it's like it's on your face yelling for no reason, or because back then we had a draft army, so we were getting felons and stuff. So it was important for drill sergeants to immediately come in and establish dominance, right? Right now we command respect and we give respect. It's a difference from the old army. I just came off the trail. So the first line in the drill sergeant's creed is, I will assist each individual in their efforts to become a highly motivated, well-disciplined, physically and mentally fit soldier, right? So that's our job. That's what we pride ourselves with. We're not there to beat people down. We're there to correct you and help you to become with the process. Now, we are very strict to standard because the thing that you do or don't do might be the difference between somebody living or dying. It's not fun and game, haha. It's legit. You need to know how to do your job so that I can make it home to my family. I need to know how to do my job so you make it home to your family. And people get it confused where it's, oh, they're yelling at you. We don't yell at people. We talk loud enough so that they can understand our directions. So it's not that we're yelling at people. We're just... Yeah.
That's a movie. You called it movie.
We're a little bit colorful with language, but again, the whole purpose behind that is to get civilians used to handling stressful situations and still be able to perform under that pressure. So it's a more methodic approach than most people think. It's a lot of science behind how we go about training soldiers. at the end of the day, the Constitution depends on us to defend it, right?
So we have the finance corp, so that will handle like pay and accounting, how people's getting paid, your actual setup outside of the army, like what your benefits gonna be, and all financial services.
Chaplain Corps. You want to speak on the chaplain?
Lieutenant Ashakoya.
It's one of the most important. So
I mean, if you ask me, I would say it is the most important. But no, to be honest, I remember one day I was I was in church and Mary said that she can conduct service better than the man. And I mean, I believe her. If she really wants to do that, then she could come to the military chaplain corps. We give her if Celestia might not give her the opportunity to do that, but we will accept her. We will train her, and she gets a chance to lead soldiers and really be a chaplain. But no, on a serious note though, the chaplain corps really, we care about, we care for the living, we nurture the living. We care for the living and nurture the dead and their family. Basically, we take care of soldiers, their family. We deal with every situation that they go through. We support their spiritual needs. When it comes to the dead, we also bury the dead. I mean, we support the commander in burying their dead because the way the military works is the commander owns all of the soldiers, and the chaplain is an advisor to the commander. So, okay, so let me say nothing about chaplain. Chaplain corps is the only corps in the military we don't have to carry weapons. So the funny thing is that I was an enlisted soldier. I was a sergeant for a long time. And immediately I became a chaplain, I lost my right to carry weapons. So I don't carry a weapon in the military anymore, which, you know. I mean, then you have an enlisted soldier like Sergeant Manning here who is always going to be around to protect me, if that makes sense. So every time
nobody messes with the chaplain.
Yeah, nobody messes with the chaplain. So every time you see a chaplain, you always see an enlisted soldier beside them. At some point, they used to call them chaplain assistant, but now the chaplain doesn't have assistant. Now it's called religious affairs specialist. So for a long time, I was actually a religious affairs NCO. Basically, I was that guy protecting the chaplain. Now that I've become a chaplain, I have some guy protecting me, if that makes sense. So, but really, the chaplain corps is like the coolest corps. You know, we are the only one who, for example, if you want to communicate with your commander and you're scared, you don't know how to tell them, the chaplains are the only ones who can do it. The chaplains are actually the only ones too. We don't take commands. Yeah, we still get our respect as officers. We get all our legal powers as officers, but listen, I love recruiting for the chaplain corps, so that I'm always gonna say the good things about them. So we don't take commands anymore, except if you command a schoolhouse or you become the chief of chaplain, which I think Cadet McDennis has a plan to become the chief of chaplain. I mean, but I think I'm gonna make it there before her, but let's see. What am I saying? So the chaplain corps, even though we don't take command anymore, we are the one in charge of we advise the commander. So basically, we always in the commander says like, hey, listen, your soldiers are not doing this. And the commanders listen to us. And if the soldiers are really feeling bad, like they need a therapy, they need somebody they can talk to and really speak their mind, they talk to the chaplain. So basically, all I do all day is just listen to soldiers. Like I listen to their problem, give them spiritual empowerment. And also another unique thing about the military chaplaincy is that even though we are like for example, I'm a Christian chaplain, I don't really only have to support Christian soldiers. I can support Muslims. I can support all of them. I just cannot pray with them because I don't, not unless they want me to. The Christian soldiers, yes, I could do anything as long as my faith accept. But for every other religion, I could just talk to them if they need prayer or anything. Then maybe I'll do with them. But usually I just talk. The unique thing about me being a chaplain is I used to be enlisted. So soldiers love enlisted soldiers become officers. So that gives me like a unique way because I speak enlisted language and then I speak the officer language, if that makes sense. I feel like I kind of took over you guys' presentation, but yes. So most military chaplain, if you're coming straight as a chaplain, most military chaplain, every single military chaplain is an officer, and that's why, as you can see, I'm an officer. One thing is, yes, in order to become a chaplain, you need a master's degree. If you don't already have a master's degree, the military will give you 6 years to get it, and they will pay for it. Yes, they'll give you 6 years to get your master's because, say that again. In theology, divinity, it's like different type of courses, but it's basically a study of religion. Like even though I was a direct commission soldier, I switched from enlisted to being an officer, and I did direction because I used my experience as a Celestia minister, and then I transferred that experience into the military. That's why I came in as a second lieutenant with like I think it's like a year credit. But let's say I already have my master's with my experience as a Celestia minister, they will have brought me in as a captain, which is like 2 ranks higher than what I came in at. So it will behoove you to get your master's before you try to commission because it moves your promotion a lot faster. And then it's a lot more money, if that makes sense. So if you know, Uncle Israel, and the best way to get to get a waiver is a chaplain corps because we have a lot of older, elderly chaplains because most people who are chaplains are really older. It's like it's not a lot of young chaplains, so most of them are actually older. And I mean, am I lying? Yeah.
Next enlistment.
Yeah. I wish I had the service. And all you need is a master's degree.
I already have that.
You know, funny thing, your shepherd has been through the process. Like he knows how to sign the paperwork and everything. So you sign all of everything that you need. Any other questions about the chaplain corps? And then the women can be chaplains too. Yes. So.
She'll do the medical and the chaplain.
If she wants to, definitely. So.
I'm not going to war.
A lot of people say that, right? And everybody's like, bring the troops home. But a lot of the troops are saying, kind of want to go to war, right? Because, well, you don't want to go to war. You never want to have to go to war. But however, if you do have to go to war, you're across seas and you're getting your pay untaxed, and you're also getting like the extra benefits of being away from your family. You get paid for it. You get paid that extra money for food. You get paid that extra money for clothing allowances. So it's a lot of money to come from that. So again, peace is the best way. However, if you do happen to go into a combat situation, you're getting compensated for it pretty well. That's why you'll see these 20-year-old kids with F1, the M4s, like BMWs or freaking, the F-150 Raptors, these $150,000 cars, and 20 years old, no debt with a house because they hit a deployment or two. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
That was awesome.
Any questions?
So if I want to enlist, do I see you or him or you? Who do I want to see?
You talk to a recruiter when you want to enlist, but really, Sergeant, listen, remember when I said earlier, I said people jump out of plane, they train to develop. So Sergeant Manning has really done everything. It literally jumps out of helicopters, planes. It literally trains soldiers. What else? It saved lives as a medic. He was an instructor. Like, his resume is really, really amazing. But I don't know, have you ever been a recruiter? No, actually, no, he has never been a recruiter. No. But no, because
it's a drill sergeant badge.
So you could tell a lot by a soldier just by looking at their uniform. You could tell everywhere they've been. You could tell a lot of things about a soldier. So, the first thing I looked at when I saw him was his uniform, and I could tell his story without even talking to him, just because of what I see on his uniform. If that makes sense.
If anybody needs a recruiter phone number, you can get with me after, and I'll have it.
So you say you jump out of train, I'll jump out of train to the football. Is it like you just jump with a
rappelling and fries, you're jumping out of helicopters or freaking, like language. Low flying planes is basically you hook up to your rope with rappelling, you're hooking up to a rope, you have your harness on, and you have all your equipment, your weapon systems, and you're getting ready to go on a mission. It's a quick way to get squad-size elements into behind the enemy's defense. So UH-60, it'll come in, it'll fly low enough, about 60 feet, 40, 60 feet off the ground, and then you just burn in. It's also, if we need to go after hostage rescue, if we need to just do a rig on the side of a building and then rappel down the side, you're able to do that with the trade-in. As far as fries, it's a faster way of getting in because you're throwing a rope out and the bird is going to go about 40 feet off the ground. And you know how kids have that pole at the park where they just jump out? You're doing that. So if you look at Black Hawk Down, the guy that fell because he let go of the rope, that was a fries insertion. So again, you're getting a squad size element behind enemy lines and then taking off. So they're able to go out and complete their mission. And then as far as the extraction part, You have a harness that you put on. They'll drop the rope to you. You hook up the rope, and then they'll pull you out in the air. If you ever seen those soldiers looking like a Christmas tree just in the air floating from a rope, that's the extraction part of it. Yeah. It's fun. So Fries, it's exciting at first, but then it loses its thrill because it's like at one point you put your trust in your equipment, in your expertise in the equipment, because you check all of your equipment yourself, and then it's God's plan. So if it's your time to go, then it's your time.
Or you, because all the drills you've been talking about now seems like kind of like marine drill.
No,
That's
no.
Army.
Yeah, so the Army drill sergeant
comes from the Marine drill sergeant, but we have a specific mission. Our mission varies from the Marines. So Marines, again, have family that are Marines. I don't know why they made that poor choice, but they're there. But Army drill instructors, we come from drill sergeants from the Marine Corps, but we have catered ourselves for, like, what's the word? We've changed our tack or our approach to fit our mission. So we're building soldiers, not Marines.
And can I just mention they have active, reserve, and National Guard. Lieutenant Ashakoy, I believe, is reserve, Manning, active, and National Guard.
Who pays for it?
Sorry, sir. When it comes to your drills, can you give me an insight to, let's say, a week in the drill? What does that look like? If, okay, I did on my list, I'm good to go. Given into a 10 weeks drill, right? 10 weeks, right? 10 weeks, right?
Oh.
10 weeks of drilling, right?
That's
Yes.
basic training.
The basic training, sir.
Yeah.
Give me an insight into a week of that.
Basic
If you don't
training,
mind.
when you come in, first thing that we're gonna do is the legal process of it.
Okay.
So we're getting all your paperwork done. We're making sure that we have all of your emergency contact.
Okay.
And then we're gonna familiarize yourself. We're gonna familiarize you with the standard.
Okay.
We're gonna give you examples of the standard.
Okay.
So that's where you get the videos where the drill sergeants out there talking. It's like the first position I'm gonna name, explain, have demonstrated which will conduct practical work on is position of attention. Position of attention is key position for a station. So we're gonna tell you exactly what it is,
Okay.
give you a demonstration, and then have you do it.
Okay.
Right? And it's gonna go with all the positions. And it's basically
getting used to marching, so we're able to move you to and fro and helping you to understand the why behind it. Because with this new generation, they want to know why. So it is helping them to understand the why. After we go from there, we're going to be going into having you understand your weapon systems. And there's different approaches depending on which basic training you go to. Then there's land navigation, where you'll be able to read and navigate maps or navigate land basically with a map or a protractor and a compass. Then you'll go into confidence courses. The whole time we're building you guys, or building the civilian up to transition into, or the trainee up to transition into a soldier. They'll have, now the armies has incorporated master resiliency training. So we've gone into a holistic way of approach of dealing with the soldier. So the chaplain will come in and speak to them and give advice. Then we have, you know how you have sports medicine? We have people who come in and they give classes on how to get the most efficiency out of your studying time, or like the best way to be resilient when going through. I'm a master resiliency trainer, so we teach our soldiers how to bounce back from adversity, or if something's going on in their personal life, how to cope. And it sounds bad, but compartmentalize so you're able to deal with pressure and still complete your mission, and then also deal with your personal affairs instead of just breaking under the pressure. So that's a lot. And then, yeah, you'll go through all of your weapons training. You'll go through your soldierization. They'll go to the field. They'll have a phase where the drill sergeants are walking them through everything. Then it's another field exercise where the drill sergeants are going to allow them to take a little bit more freedom and make decisions actually for themselves and their team, and just correct them along the way. And then the last one for the forge, they're completely by themselves. So we're with them, but we're not giving them guidance anymore. Now they're taking what we taught them and they're putting it in the place. So they're going to pass or fail based off of what they've been taught, how they work together, and if they actually understood what we've been giving them for 10 weeks. And then they'll go through the night infiltration course, where it's basically a simulated situation, and it's going to be simulated situations throughout, where they'll be getting fire from actual 240 Bravos, or 249s going off above their heads. It'll be mock explosions, flares. They'll be crawling under barbed wire through the mud, through the water, through the snow if it's snow, and
Like, go back, yeah. So, yeah,
Back, one more.
this is what he's talking about. So that's me at the night infantry cross. Like
Okay.
he's talking about the Nick at night.
Okay.
So like they're just firing over your head and you're calling like how many meters? Like
but it's about the size of a football
a
field.
football field. You're crawling while they like shooting over your head and stuff.
So explosions are going on again just to get the soldier or the trainee used to it. Yes.
Real guns, real bullets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So don't stand up. Don't stand
You don't have to stand up, you have to crawl.
I mean, as long as you don't get out, you leave.
Which have on the helmet. You have on the helmet.
I don't think anybody.
Is that graduation of family that you just matching then?
That was a drilling ceremony competition.
Okay, that is literally him and his soldier when he was training soldiers. And it's probably and that is probably not as nice as it is now. So he's as man of voice as it is when he trains soldiers, but really, he has really done a lot. I just say, listen, Sergeant Manning and Cadet McDaniels, I really do appreciate you guys for coming today. I knew that I didn't tell you guys this. I will be letting Lieutenant Colonel Robertson retired know what you guys have done today. And then also I'll talk to your PMI, Professional Military Science, about what you guys have done. I know you guys did it out of the selfless of your heart, and I'm really impressed, especially for the fact that you guys have been up this early today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Another round of applause for them, please. Thank you so much, Cadet Janai and First Class Sergeant Manning. Thank you so much. This was a beautiful enlightenment into the military branch of the Army, and I hope that I'm interested. Uncle Israel is interested. Uncle Thomas is interested. Uncle Charles is interested, and Mommy Adisa is interested too. She wants to be a chaplain. So we might be joking about these things, but these are some of the things that I feel like some of our youths should have been enlightened or educated about, and it's not too. And that is interested. That is going to be the chief chaplain, chief commandant chaplain, head of chaplains. Yeah. So, and I wish that I had this insight, years ago. I think I would have joined, and I think it's not too late for me to join. So when I'm joining, I'm taking Uncle Thomason with me, taking Uncle Israel with me, and Sister Debbie. We're going together. Thank you. Shetikbo. Say no more. I'm coming tomorrow.
Coming as a captain already, so all three, but then you also get incentive bonuses quarterly, so at least like $11,000.
Woo! Don't worry, you'll see me tomorrow in your office.
I'm going to drink that.
See me tomorrow in your office.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I even
my sister to join because she's also a respiratory therapist. I sent this to my friends, my coworkers who are also nurses, and they're also watching on the live. And I know that some of them are interested. I'm even pushing somebody to go and join, because I know the benefits that the military, offers, and I know the discipline and the education and the trainings that they impart into people. So, and those that are watching at home, the younger ones, please look into this, and I pray that God Almighty will guide you all as you do so in Jesus' name. Next, we're going to invite our one and only City Council member that has ever stepped foot into Peace of Christ Parish, by the name Mr. Jared Hawkins. Please give him a round of applause.
So, good evening, everyone. This is really an honor, and I'm a longtime friend of Mary, and she invited me here We used to work with each other at Home Depot, and we remain friends. And my father, he was in the Army. My wife, both of her parents were Marines. And I'll say that discipline and all that, it trickled down to me. And, I know how to clean real and all that stuff. And my dad had me ironing my clothes with the creases in it and everything. So, the Army and the military, it provides a lot of utility. So a little bit about myself, and I want this to be interactive. It's getting late, so, yeah, please. So, need that energy. A little bit about myself. I actually have 2 jobs related to politics. My day job is I'm a lobbyist. I do a lot of state work predominantly in Annapolis in the Maryland General Assembly. The firm that I'm a managing director of, we focus on making society better. So we're not your, lobbyists, we get a bad rap. Yeah, you're right. People think that we're just, taking care of pharmaceutical companies or oil companies, banks and whoever, but the reality is lobbyists are kind of like attorneys in that we touch and we impact just about everything that we see. This land, matter of fact, the racetrack that is right out here. Lobbyists and attorneys, they come together and advocate and make sure that the owners and not even the owners, but the stakeholders and neighbors and whoever have a fair voice and are advocated for in front of government. If you want to build a neighborhood, or if you want to add on to your building, you may have to hire a lobbyist to help you get through that governmental process because it can be tedious. You need to know who you need to talk to, what you need to know, and it may wind up saving you time and eventually money by hiring a lobbyist. And I guess, kind of like my passion work and what means a lot to me is I'm a current Bowie City Council member. I'm the at-large member.
What does that mean?
So at-large, that means that I represent the whole city. So currently there's 4 districts in the city of Bowie. So whenever you hear someone say I'm the at-large member, that means they represent the whole area, whether it's a city, county, usually city and counties or towns or something of that manner. So this is something I care deeply about. I grew up in the city.
Did you get voted in to be? Did they put you in?
So this is what happened. That's a real good question.
Yeah.
So the past election, the current person that had the seat that I have now, she got elected to the Prince George's County Council. So that left a vacancy. So there's a process to appoint someone. And I, threw my hat in the ring. There's about 35 other people that threw the hat in the ring, and there's an interview process. And I've been very involved in the city of Bowie and in Prince George's County. I'm 35. I probably spent about 10 to 15 years devoted to the community. And so my now colleagues said that I was the best person, and they voted me to finish out the term. We actually have an election November 7th, and I'm in the process of getting elected and fulfilling the whole 4-year term. So, thank you. So, I really want to talk about. We'll get to the city council portion, but I really want to talk about lobbying because, like I said, there's a lot of misconceptions. And the firm that I work with, we only do good work. So what does that look like? Environmental protection, making sure that our waterways are clean, and that we're not polluting them. The Patuxent River, which is right out here, this is a river that I've focused on, making sure that's clean, and that's not just that our waterways and our environment. That's for everyone to enjoy. That's God's gift to us is this earth. right? So we have to be responsible with it. We have to be proper shepherds. So that's one thing that I work on, clean energy development, do a lot of solar development, and not just putting solar panels on people's rooftops, but larger scale projects. So as a state and as a society, we can transition from burning coal, we even burn trash to create energy, which creates emissions and carbon emissions. And we've all heard of global warming. This is a real thing, and the way you reduce that in real life is going to the state and counties and federal governments and advocating for incentives to stimulate these type of programs and projects, and creating frameworks and goals for Maryland to create a certain amount of renewable and clean energy. And then also, I work in healthcare. So we represent a client. They're a federally qualified health center. So people that live below the poverty line, may not have health insurance, rely on Medicare and Medicaid, live in poor areas. I help a specific federally qualified health center get the funding that they need to help others. And I have a lot of colleagues that do similar work, good work that they're proud of. And we always talk about, and look, I even got family members that say, I like you a little less because, you're a lobbyist and all that. And it's because, lobbyists get a bad rap. And I work to kind of dispel that, because I think what winds up happening is that if your average person that cares a lot about the community or society, wants to do good work, if they feel like lobbying is not a viable option, then what happens is the people that are greedy and care less about society and only care about their money, they will fill that void.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why are you asking my question? That's what I want to ask.
So this is a very good question, and a lot of people think you need to be a lawyer, have a college degree. I have a college degree. I'm definitely not a lawyer. I know people that their passion and their advocacy push them into lobbying. They don't have a college degree. I know people that were electricians at unions, and they saw an opportunity to get involved in policy making, and they just went with it. I know people that served time in prison. They come home from prison and they saw issues. They wanted to reform something. They wanted to change something. They wanted to provide funding for people so, they don't go down the path that they went through. And so they, get involved in the county and state and wind up with a job, advocating. So at the end of the day, a lobbyist is just an advocate for whatever issue that, you're involved in. Sure. So you gotta number one, you gotta like people and talking. You gotta be able to talk a lot. You gotta be able to explain yourself. You gotta be a people person. You have to be passionate about what it is you're working on, and you have to have a fundamental belief in government and in our society, and the idea of, at least in America, the idea of a democracy, and that you have a say, and you can, this whole thing, the voting and being involved, you have to have those things core too, because it's hard work. And if you don't truly believe in what you're doing, eventually you're going to, find something else to do. You're going to burn out. So there's two different realities. So we have what we call Maryland's legislative session. That is where Maryland passes its budget, passes all their laws. The legislative session starts about the second week of January and ends, it's a 90-day sprint, and ends about the second week of April. During that time, my wife, she's like, where are you? Because I'm working all the time. I wake up at about between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, start working, reading bills, seeing what's going on, checking up with clients, responding to emails. And that could go during session that could go all the way to whenever the work is done for the day. So that could go to 10 o'clock p.m. It could go to 1 p.m. You know, it all depends, but it's a very intensive sprint because you only got 90 days. And after the 90 days, if your agendas aren't being met, you have to wait until next year to try to start the process all over again. Now, outside of session, you know, my day, now my wife is jealous of me, right? Because, you know, I have less work to do. I don't have to wake up at 4, now I can wake up at maybe 7, 8. You know, I'm working instead of 50, 60, 65 hours, now it's, you know, maybe 30, you know, no more than 40. But it's spend a lot of time on the phones, a lot of meetings, a lot of research, a lot of reading the laws and budgets and all that.
And if you don't have any experience and you want to become a lobbyist, what is the best way to get your foot in the door?
So I'll just talk about my experience. So I knew a long time ago that I wanted to get involved in politics and serve. I started getting involved in campaigns, volunteering, knocking on people's doors, talking about, you know, whatever candidate I was supporting, talking about the good things that they wanted to do. I don't know.
You just have to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, you know, just get involved, being active, improving, you know, your utility. And so that turned into a job that was low paying. There's a real large misconception that you work in politics, you're going to make money. I didn't start making a livable wage where I could like actually feel comfortable until I was like 33. You know, I was, you know, living in basements and, you know, car looking crazy and all that stuff. Just, you know, but yeah. So if you're in it for the money, wrong place. I think you want to do IT. I worked at numerous jobs in politicians' offices. I worked in the Maryland General Assembly as a staffer, the Prince George's County Council. My last staff job was in the U.S. Senate for Ben Cardin as a Prince George's County liaison. After that, I became a lobbyist. So my advice to anyone, if you want to get involved in politics, you just got to get active. You know, find the next campaign that you believe in. You know, get involved. Something that you're passionate about, whatever it is, and you know, just keep on pushing, and eventually you'll make something out of it. You know, but also what I say is like truly believe in what you're doing. Truly, you know, whatever it is, and be a good person, and also respect everyone's opinions about things, because you're going to, when you go to Annapolis and Maryland General Assembly, you have everyone from the entire state there, every perspective being represented. And, you know, there's a nice woman who loves Jesus, has a family, takes care of her family. She's a Republican. You have the same thing. She's a Democrat, you know, and they believe in different things politically, but ultimately they believe in the same thing. They love God. They love their families. They nice people. They, you know, all that. And I think sometimes in our politics we kind of get away from that. We, you know, we're so divided, and we think the opposing viewpoint, you know, they're bad people or they're wrong. And you know, really, legislatures are the meeting of ideals and trying to figure out how we're going to move forward as a state. Yeah. So that's lobbying.
With all these crazy things going on, where do you see American politics? And how does it impact us as a person?
I'll say this. When I talk with people, they say a civil war is coming. and I look at them and I say, if you truly believe a civil war is coming, wouldn't that cause you to stop the divisiveness? And do you really understand what war means, like actually on your in your backyard? If you've grown up in America, you've been blessed with relative peace compared to other countries, right? So we may not understand what that actually means. I think that politically we're at a crossroads, and we have the opportunity to come together and unite on things that are more substantive, or we can continue this divisive political chess game that really only benefits the political elite, in my view. And I think what happens is they use, the political elite uses fear to get people to continue to vote for them and continue to give, if you don't vote for me, if you don't donate your money, then my opponent's going to win and he's going to do this or she's going to do that and you can't trust them and blah, 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 blah. And you see that from both sides. And I think that, at least for me, I would rather see a more mature, balanced version of our politics. And I think that the average citizen, if you talk with them, they want the same thing. What will it take to get there is the average citizen that votes is going to have to let our political leadership know that we're not just going to vote for you because you're Democrat or vote for you because you're Republican or just go along with the narrative. We're going to challenge it. And, so if we do that, I think we'll get to a better place. If we continue down this road, there's a lot that's possible. There's a lot. If you look at previous civilizations that led the world, the Romans, they weren't conquered by outside forces. They were destroyed within. And when they got weak, that's when other people came in. Same thing with the Greeks, same thing with the Egyptians, same thing with the British. So, America, we have to be mindful of that.
Does the city offer like internships for students do the firms offer internships for students, or either I would say that internships for students, or how could people find out about the jobs that the city council has?
Yeah, so the city of Bowie actually employs quite a few people. We have about 400 staff members currently, and we are looking for specifically police officers. So if anyone wants to be a police officer, you got some. I think right now I think the age is 21. Oh, can you? I think 35.
Okay.
I think 35 to if you're going in.
If you're going in,
if you're going in and you haven't been a police officer before. Out to like check on that, make sure that's right. But no, the city offers internships. My firm, we offer internships. You go to cityofbowie.org. There's a job board. And then, but also, what's interesting, Prince George's County, they have this entity called Employ Prince George's, and so you can go there if you need a job, if you want to re-skill, retrain, if you're working in an industry that is dying and you want to switch over to IT, or you want to switch over to data analytics or anything, you can go to Employ Prince George's to get that information. Yeah. So now in the Bowie City Council, we obviously we approve a budget. We have a budget of about $77 million. We have a police department, like I said, and we have about 55 officers. We're short by 10. We're supposed to have 65, but we're also growing, so we have to. We should probably be closer to about 90, 100 officers. And we also do, we make sure the roads are city maintained roads are up to par, sidewalks. We do weigh in on land development and zoning issues. So if a big developer owns a piece of land in the city and they want to build a neighborhood or build a strip mall or anything like that, they have to come to us and do the proper outreach before they go to the county to get their final approval.
Between the city and the county.
So the city of Bowie, the city of Bowie is inside of Prince George's County.
Okay,
Yeah. So you got cities and towns, then counties, then states, then federal.
Does the city offer any type of grants?
Yes, we do.
And how do we access those grants?
So you go on our website, they have more information, but we have these volunteer opportunities called city committees, and each committee gets allocated a certain amount of money that they can grant out. So for instance, we have the arts committee, and you can apply for an art grant if you decide, hey, I want to, develop a certain type of art. I want to paint something, do something that can, raise the aesthetic of the city. We have, or if you want to do an event or something that, helps out the city, maybe it's a college fair, career fair, or something like that, and you want support from the city, you can apply for a grant and, apply for that support, get that support. So, yeah. The city of Bowie is the largest city municipality in Prince George's County, the 5th largest in the state. And, people really look at us to lead, especially when you're talking about smaller municipalities like Seat Pleasant or Greenbelt is smaller than us, but they're on the larger side. People look at Bowie as kind of like that flagship or shiny hill or nice home on the hill, that type of thing. And so if you live in the city of Bowie or you live in Bowie, you have a lot to be proud of. And especially as Bowie diversifies, my family moved here in 1992 when it was honestly predominantly white, and we were not too welcome. And my neighbor went to my father, and look, my father always had a job, never been arrested. He's the holiest man you would ever meet. I mean, growing up, he put the oil all on me and all that stuff. And my mom, she's a teacher. We're just a good family. My neighbor came to my dad and said, "This is a nice neighborhood. We want to keep it that way." And
it's still little pockets of Bowie that's like that.
So now, as Bowie's diversified, it's gotten wealthier, it's gotten more educated, it's gotten safer. There's not too many areas in America that can say that. Well, that used to happen. That used to happen in America, where you could discriminate against people on the basis of race, and you could say that certain people could only live in certain areas. A law was passed in the late 70s that said you can no longer do that. And laws are broken all the time. Right? Yeah, laws are broken all the time. But when in the late 70s, and then fast forward about 10 years, 15 years, black people and people of color start moving to the city of Bowie, and these people have money and resources relative to other parts of Maryland, and now we're thriving, and there's people all across the country that I get messages from friends that live in other parts of the country that are saying, oh, they're saying Bowie is like one of the best cities to live in, one of the most livable places in America for anyone. And it is, one of the wealthiest municipalities in the country. So we have a lot to be proud of, but I do think that we also have to be mindful of where we're going and making sure that we keep a high standard and we continue to grow and innovate as a city. Because what could happen is if we kind of just sit back and celebrate our wins that we had, we could wind up getting left behind. The world and the country is changing very fast right now. We're changing the way we do things. Chat GPT, I play with it all the time. Like I put in what's a recipe for chili, and then I put in give me a campaign speech, and they gave all of it. All I do is I could just throw my name in the campaign speech, and it did it just like that. The world is changing. Society's changing very fast, and if we don't keep up with it or we are too scared to, acknowledge change, we're going to get left behind. We're going to get left behind.
And how as we as residents of Bowie evolve with, and keep in touch with what's going on in Bowie? How can we stay active as residents?
So Bowie's website, you can sign up and get email notifications. There's city council meetings that you could listen to, or you can go and visit in person. But also every level of government has outreach that we do. And one thing that kind of frustrates us, the question that your average staffer is going to have is, we spend time putting together a meeting, an outreach meeting, and 5 people show up, and then well, so you blast it out, and that's fair, and that's something that we think about. Are we marketing the stuff that we're doing as best as possible? But at the same time, let's say in the neighborhood, a development project is being considered. By law, there has to be a level of outreach, right? And let's say Walmart wants to come to your community. Obviously, no one wants Walmart in their backyard, right? Walmart has to do outreach to make sure to do their due diligence and letting people know what's going on, right? And I know what you're going to ask, but I got a point I'm going to make that I want to make. When that information goes out, you blast it out to thousands of people. 5 people show up, and then when they start building a Walmart, you got thousands of people saying, what's going on in my backyard? This is that. I'm voting all y'all out and all that. Now, I think there's a little bit of blame to go around for everyone, and that we, politicians and government and lobbyists and everyone could do a better job of outreach to the people. But I think we got to meet each other in the middle sometimes. And so, yeah, but I think you had a question.
I was just going to say that I have seen, like, for example, Bowie has become a hub for a lot of elderly homes. They're getting ready for the baby boomers. And I've noticed that with those zoning signs, they are placed very strategically in a non-visible area.
Yeah.
Even, I think they're trying to build a funeral home, 183 or something like that in that Bowie line. And, it was not, I'm not attacking you. I'm just,
sure.
Since you opened that door.
Sure.
I figure I poke a little bit, but even I remember I was driving and I saw the sign, and when I saw where they put it, I'm like, people will never see that sign, and that's like a back road that I take to get into my house. But it's like it was placed so small, even to take a picture. I took a picture at a driving distance just to show how it wasn't visibly placed or advertised or marketed or campaigned for the average resident that would be driving along the street. You could barely see the zoning number. You could barely see the telephone number that was listed on there. But I feel like you said, it's on both ends. But with that, it could be a little bit more work put into that.
Even lobbies, I mean, the tactics that is being used. It's like, for example, she's saying that, okay, you present an advert, I can see the advert. So I'm believing, okay, you're placing it there, tell me, okay, we did it, but on the back end, you know what you want to do anyway. You're going to build a building, you're going to make it happen, you're going to make your money.
So to your point, one thing I don't like is when you see those signs on the side of the road, this is something that at least Prince George's County has been doing when it comes to outreach on development projects. They had to put something in the newspaper, and they had to put signs up. We're equally telling people to drive safe and don't drive, distracted. So how can the same government telling you to focus on driving, you're putting a big sign with the phone number on it in the email, and you're trying to get the email, and now you got your phone in your hand trying to take a picture of it. It's kind of inconsistent. It's inconsistent. So I agree that we have to find better ways to get in touch with people. I also know that if people are people at the end of the day, and you got good people and bad people everywhere, and if someone wants to play those games and try to, play with communities and misinform people, ideally you got these safeguards in to, call them out, but God handles them, and all that. But you're right. We have to do a better job of outreaching. But I do think that we all got to come together, and because now look, when it's happy hour or it's a homecoming or something, it's easy to get people involved, so. No, I think we have to, like I said, do better at letting people know. Yeah. No. Look, this is a good conversation, and lobbyists and city council member, you got to have some thick skin. Yeah. So.
Once again, please give him a round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Jared. Thank you for enlightening us. One thing is, we a lot of people live in a community and they don't know what's going on around their community. And you coming in here to give us this enlightenment, to tell us, that these are some of the things that lobbyists do, and these are some of the things that may happen in our community, and how to expect them and how to look up to these things. Now we can also share this knowledge with church members, because a lot of us do live in this, this neighborhood, or we live around this area. And also for those that don't live around this area, they can also share this, and they can also look out for these things in their own communities, in their own environments, so that, because I live in Laurel, and I'm sure some of these things that you said also apply to, the communities in Laurel too. So, but please give him a round of applause again.
So one more quick point. There's a website where you can get good information, just straight news on what's going on in the state of Maryland. It's called MarylandMatters.org, and it's something that I read every day to understand what's going on. And it's not partisan or anything like that. It's just the news. So I hope all you all go look it up and become better informed.
Thank you so much. Please, media team, please help us put that on the church's WhatsApp group. It's called MarylandMatters.org. MarylandMatters.org. And please let us all utilize and make use of this beautiful tool, so that way we can know what's going on in our environment and in our communities. Once again, I want to thank every of the speakers that came and spoke and gave us enlightenment and insight to different branches of their duties or works of life. this was very important. I think every one of us needed this. Yes or no? Yes or no? If you know that you are benefiting from Christ, say amen. Amen. Say amen. Amen. Thank you all for coming once again. Please give a round of applause for the Harvest Committee for putting this together. Okay. At this point, we're going to do final remarks and we're going to do closing prayer. On behalf of the Harvest Committee members, we want to thank all those that came to give us, all the speakers for tonight and those that came to listen. And we pray that God Almighty bless you all in Jesus' name. Please, tomorrow we have prophetic night. It's going to be live. It's going to be mega super duper, and you do not want to miss it. At this point, we're going to have closing prayer from the shepherd. And tomorrow is going to be, the time for tomorrow's event is going to be no, it's going to be 7 p.m. Please, you do not want to be late.